Thank you so much, James, and thank you, Nika, and thank you everybody who's spoken and who is still to speak so eloquently about David. You know, David used to say that anarchism was not his identity, but rather something he did. And that simple description really described his approach to life. So many people have also already spoke about his remarkable playful personality. And he was that rare academic who believed that ideas were not just for contemplating in an ivory tower, but that they found their truest meaning when put into practice. Unlike so many others in the academy who are increasingly narrowed in their scope of what they can consider because of the nature of academic specialization, David was never subject to the cant of the university. He had a brilliant and plastic mind. He ranged far and wide in synthesizing ideas. And the ideas were really for him the basis of building a new enchanted life in which we could all be free and equal. So I want to focus for a moment on one of the areas that he and I worked particularly closely together on, Rojava, and why he thought it was so important that those of us living in the West not only pay close attention to the radically democratic project there, but support it with every ounce of energy we could summon. As an anthropologist, David had a particularly keen understanding of how special the multi-ethnic egalitarian society being built in Rojava really is, especially with regard to women's liberation and the fact that in Rojava, women really do play an equal role in running every aspect of society, from the political to the economic to the social. As an activist, he knew how much education, patience, and understanding it takes to really put the ideals of direct democracy into practice. Just as anarchism is not something you simply believe in, but rather something that you do, David believed that as activists, we must actively support our sisters and brothers around the world as they struggle to bring new worlds into being. His father, Kenneth, fought for the Republic in the Spanish Revolution of 1936. David was so proud of his father's activism, and it was an example that David lived by, as witnessed by his close relationship to Rojava, which he not only visited more than once, but also wrote about continuously. That spirit of internationalism that so infused David's thinking is unfortunately disappearing from great parts of the left today. We've narrowed our interests so much that the vision of a worldwide united working class, what we might perhaps in David's words call a united 99%, that animated the internationalism of socialist and anarchist movements of the past, it's been forgotten by many on the left, especially in the United States, the country of David's birth. Elements of the left are so preoccupied with the West's history of imperialism that they've lost the forest for the trees and failed to see that in Syria, for example, the presence of a small number of American troops, far from being imperialist, is preventing a much more threatening imperialist power, that of Turkey, from crushing the most important project in self-governance of this century, the Kurdish-led autonomous administration of North and East Syria, also known, of course, as Rojava. In the United States, the situation is so serious that a new elected so-called progressive to the United States Congress, Jamal Bowman, has introduced a resolution to remove the few hundred American troops remaining in Syria, as some of you may have seen in recent news reports. This is a move that would benefit two people: Russia's Vladimir Putin, who is actively trying to gain hegemony in the region, and the authoritarian Turkish ruler Erdogan, who is profoundly threatened, of course, by the egalitarian women-led society of Rojava just across the border from his Turkey. The fact that Bowman has received campaign donations from 8 members of the Turkish American National Steering Committee makes this legislation even more egregious. If David were alive today, I know he would be urging all of us to do everything we can to make our voices heard in opposition to this dangerous, reactionary, and unnuanced approach to foreign policy. As he said many times to me, we have in Rojava, as with the Zapatistas in Chiapas, a living, breathing hope for a better future for all of us. If we don't care deeply, as David and his father Kenneth did, about our brothers and sisters in far-off lands who are fighting for the same values as we are, then we are not really the left libertarians that we think of ourselves as in the true tradition of international solidarity that these movements are supposed to embody. It's time for us to carry David's values forward in our everyday lives, to actively stand with the people of Rojava and everywhere who need our help, but in this case, by pressing our leaders to curb Turkey's aggression and to give this region the political recognition it deserves and a seat at the negotiating table on the future of Syria. Do it to honor David's memory. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Do it because if we do not, we potentially lose one of the very few models we have today of a non-sectarian, left libertarian society, one that offers the inspiration that we all desperately need to keep pushing forward with our own dreams of a better world. Do it because David isn't here to do it for us. Thank you.